Hey everybody, this is Way to Fail, and today we're going to be doing a Let's Spectate with OwlSage and Iwantanickplease, two players that I am very familiar with. I'm very excited to see this game, as we have a really nice matchup here. Iwantanickplease playing playing an energy decay deck, OwlSage playing what looks to be pure order. It could possibly be an order tempo, which is a very tough matchup for decay by itself, because decay doesn't have a lot of early game ways to deal with getting a bunch of creatures on the board. But energy, that splash in there, could make a world of difference. As right now, OwlSage getting a bunch of little things on the board. The Aging Knight is an interesting card. A lot of people like it. Some people don't, because it is a card that is a good shock troop, attacks fast really early, and then you can move it up and it can be kind of a chump blocker. I think it does have a valuable place, especially for trying to do a deck like a fast strike deck like this. But right now, OwlSage, he's got creatures on the board, and he's just gunning for idols, electing not to make this a 4/4 Rot Eater. And that's kind of a weird place to be. Nickplease, or Iwantanickplease, which is, I'm not sure if that's his main account or his other account, but playing a Puppet Soldier Burn, so there's that combo. I know a lot of people are like, oh my god, Puppet Soldier Nutrition, when that's gone, it's gone, and everything is okay, and we're all going to hold hands, tra-la-la. But there's the Damning Curse, gets these guys' health down a little bit, which is a little interesting, but make it happen there. This, unfortunately, is going to be the Sacrificial Rot Eater, so he is trading cards for cards here. But at this point, just trying to get some things to be vulnerable. In fact, if this guy attacks, he's going to be just pretty much... OwlSage has a lot of options right here. Decimation is not going to do enough to save him. But he's actually going to move up and avoid the Rot Eaters. He could try and play aggressively, take this guy down, but then he'd be 3/4. So OwlSage electing to not do that. He could decimate and make this a little bit easier on himself, but he could be trying to save the decimation for a idol play as well if he can just get his other idols down. So Horn of Age is very nice for controlling the deck here. But my point before with Nickplease is just the Puppet Soldier and Burn. I've heard some people kind of lament that one because it's a card draw and destroying a bunch of creatures. But probably the biggest problem with the Puppet Soldier Nutrition mechanic that you may remember from before, if you were watching Scrolls then, is that it costs no resources. The nutrition would actually be a net gain where you would have all of your decay back that you spent on the Puppet Soldier. Just a little bit too good, but double decimation here. OwlSage doesn't have the resources to play it, but right now, with this deck, it's probably smarter to throw a Skirmisher down. But OwlSage not gunning for that idol, and I don't know, maybe it's just me sitting here on the sidelines, but that does kind of tip the hand and say, hey, you know what, there is a decimation in his hand. But there we go, we get a little bit of lag here between turns. There we go. Nickplease, he's got to be salivating. He draws a Harvester, but it's going to be Puppet Soldier Burn time, folks. Ready for this? You do not want to line up your idols like this. OwlSage can't be pleased. That is a huge move, especially in an order deck that has... It really relies on tempo. Nick making the play he needs to make to come back. Now OwlSage drawing Faith Change, which is a very fascinating card to see in this matchup here. Looks like both these players are experimenting maybe a little bit, but when enchanted creature is destroyed, Faith Change deals 1 damage to each of opponent's idol. That would have been really nice to have last turn. And actually, Faith Chains can be pretty nasty given the current status of the idols here. But still, right now he's going for the Faith Chains. He's not going to decimate this turn, but that means that Nick has a limited amount of time before he can try and kill things or make stuff happen. Spark is a pretty good card here. Ilmire Hunter may be better to keep, but he gets rid of it, gets another Ilmire Hunter and a Damning Curse. Guess the first question is, what does he want to do about that? He's going to go ahead and eat the idol damage. What are you going to do? And so his idols are getting low. If OwlSage draws a few more Faith Chains, it's not going to matter. Nick can put up as much as he wants. But for now, he's putting up the Ilmire Hunter just to try and protect his board here. And I guess part of the question now is OwlSage going to play a Wings Captain, try and get a better board presence? Or is he going to attempt to do a decimation move? The problem is that decimation is not going to do enough damage for this really to be an effective move. He'd be throwing this poor Ducal Skirmisher away. But there we go. He's setting up for the win in another run here. So kind of a fast game with this tempo deck. there is literally nothing that Nick can do to win. So I was excited about seeing this game. I really like these players, but this is what you get when you're watching live commentaries, that you don't always get the fastest games here. OwlSage is going to be GGing here right now. 2 decimations. That Faith chains that direct idle damage, and that is the ball game, folks, by round 11. So a little bit of a quickie here. I'm going to be trying to drop a few of these today. But OwlSage and Nickplease, that was a quick one. You got to see some burn Puppet Soldier. You got to see some interesting cards, but definitely not all of OwlSage's hand. Let's see what else we can get today. This is Way to Fail with a Let's Spectate. Pretty brief video. They're not all going to be 40-hour slog fests because scrolls, sometimes they go quick, sometimes they don't. See you next time.